What if I told you that there's just one drawing skill you have to learn to see dramatic improvements in your art? No, I'm not kidding. And no, this is not clickbait. And in this video, we will see what this is, why it affects every other aspect of a picture, and how to learn and master it. Oh, and if all you want is the exercises, timestamps are in the video description as always, but I recommend sticking around because it's really important for you to understand why it's so fundamental. Let's go. One of my gripes when I started studying Loomis at the beginning was not being able to even draw a simple head. You know, because of the slicing of the sides of the head. I really thought it was perspective, so I just studied more perspective, but it didn't improve that much. And then when I started drawing from life, my drawings somehow felt more real and three-dimensional, even if, quite honestly, they were not precise at all. Of course, I lost that when I went back to photo reference. And then, almost by accident, when I was following a hand drawing tutorial, I noticed that when I was drawing loop cuts around a form as if I could slice it, it felt so three-dimensional and good. I was actually able to feel it, go around it, and it looked so much better. In that moment, it finally dawned on me, wait a second, maybe even if I don't have the real thing in front of me, I can visualize it in my head as real, as if I can touch it, as if I can grab it. And if I do, the drawing feels 3D. The feeling of form is the fundamental skill that's at the core of drawing as we intend it today. Being able to represent something that feels 3D on a two-dimensional surface is a skill you need for everything. Whenever you illustrate something, if the picture doesn't fool you into thinking that 3D space exists within it, then it just looks bad and flat is bad, unless, of course, it's intentional. I mean, look at Akira Toriyama's art. I grew up with it, and it was always striking to me how thick and solid his drawings look. But why is it so fundamental? Well, think about it for a second. Wouldn't it be much easier to know where shadow area starts if in your head the drawing already exists as a three-dimensional world? You know, you just decide where the light source is and it comes on its own because you're like, hey, oh, okay, it doesn't make sense that the shadow starts here, so let's put it in this other place. Then obviously, given that values are what make basically 90% of the quality of a picture, it's a huge boost. Or even consider how much more easy it would be to use aerial perspective if you felt physically that the landscape was receding into the distance in your picture versus just, using stiff perspective and rules. But Nemo, I hear you say, I can learn perspective, just how do I learn a feeling? And I can't do life drawing. Don't you worry, my dear friend, because we're gonna focus on the simplest exercise anyone can do right now at home on a piece of paper-ish. So let's break it down into 5 levels, where level 1 is basically assessment. Start by tracing wrapping lines, like if they are wireframes, over things. Like you can take any picture you want of whatever subject, ideally maybe something related to what you want to draw, and what you're gonna do is just trace the lines on it. Again, as if you're doing a wireframe, or as if you're painting on the surface. Try to feel the surface and go behind it with your best guess. Imagine it's 3D, it's actually wrapping around. Then, move to level 2, cross-section. And this is something that I learned from a class named Dynamic Sketching that I took at CG Masters Academy. It involves drawing a series of blob shapes and then trying to make them three-dimensional. You do exactly the same thing you did for level 1, but in this case, you have to make up the three-dimensional form. And it's pretty easy because it's just blobs, so just make them look blobby and 3D. One great thing to do at this point is start cutting them. Split them open and draw the actual cross-section. This exercise specifically is gonna make a huge difference in your perception of space because you have to make up that blobby form. Then, when you're comfortable with this, move to level 3. Draw freeform boxes. Why boxes? Because you can tell the orientation, while before that you couldn't really with the blobby forms. Oh, and disclaimer here, it does help if you know a bit of perspective first. But regardless, At this level, it's fundamental to practice simple boxes. Lots of boxes. And I won't stress this enough. Fill pages. Rotate them around randomly. Whatever proportions they have, it's fine. As long as they're boxes and they feel somewhat three-dimensional. Bonus, if they also feel like they belong to the same three-dimensional space. A great tip is to think of them as being made of rubber, because that exists in real life. Don't get caught up with them being perfect with like super straight edges and hard and pointy looking. Just in the ballpark is fine, as long as they feel 3D. Then move to level 4, manipulating them. So you take the boxes and morph them. Squash, stretch, twist, mix them with other primitives like spheres. Oh, hey, look, it's a forearm. Basically just a drumstick. And you can even take a simple shape like, say, a triangle or whatever you like, and extrude it in 3D space to make, kind of like a tail thing. And this is an exercise I learned from my friend Antonio at Artwood. Or if that's maybe too difficult for you right now, you can do arrows. As long as it makes you feel like you're doing something in 3D space, that's fine for this level. And when this is clear enough, you move to level 5, which is cube rotations. Yay! I know you were waiting for it. Sorry, but at this point, it should actually be much easier than it would have been otherwise. Though I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, this is hard. Why? Because you have to keep proportions as you rotate the cubes. And notice that I said cubes, not boxes. These have to have roughly equal sides, because otherwise it becomes extremely complicated to keep track of the rotation at this point. There are actually some grids you can try using, like the one made by Krantz Kuschart, and they do work to a degree. They're not really super precise or accurate to what a cube would look like if rotated on the same spot, but they kind of do their job. The thing is, I find them a little distracting, and I noticed that if I just use a circle, which is really a sphere in which the box is rotating, it's actually much easier for me versus using the grid with all the points marked out. It is going to be discouraging nonetheless, but it's okay because we will probably just keep doing this forever as a warm-up. And if you do, and if you dare, you can reach level 99. At this level, you take any complex form or object and rotate it in 3D space. I will admit, I am not that good at doing this. This is almost like Kim Jong-ki level. But if you put in enough time, you will be able to do it. Again, it's a matter of quantity. So do a bit every day and you will, I promise, you will reach this level. And this is pretty much all you need. Everything else after this will be built on top of the strong, solid foundation. So, if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button as it really helps the channel grow. And there's gonna be more awesome content like this in the future, so subscribe so you don't miss it. Alright, good luck and take care.